Hey guys, welcome to the lore. You see, today I want to go over I want to go over some of the villains. Let's see, there's an evil magical girl named Bombette. She's also, she likes to say she's a superhero, but she's really not. She tends to be a lot more ruthless and bloodthirsty, really. And she tends to go after people who tend to be rather critical of her, and she tends to be very selfish and very motivated by, hey, look at me and how amazing I am, and don't you dare criticize me or else. Yeah, she basically became a villain. And she basically became a villain and was like, I decide what the rules are. Whoever has the power makes the rules. Yeah, her arts are bomb arts. And some of her bomb arts have rather cataclysmic effects. Yes, I'm not joking about that. That basically means atom bombs. Yes. As you can see, you can understand why a lot of people would be terrified of that, including me. Well, yeah. Oh yeah, there's also this mad scientist whose name is Blackfly. He's one of the few mad scientists that I fight. Blackfly, he used to be a normal human scientist until who dreamed of making a transport system for packages so he could get super duper rich and basically be the next Amazon or whatever. And he thought, hey, why don't I use it to transport people across the world? And his DNA kind of got scrambled with a parasitic Blackfly, and he kind of became a Blackfly human hybrid, man. And he retained his intelligence, but kind of went a little crazy in the head and became very bloodthirsty for blood, and kind of learned to command swarms of Blackflies. And Blackflies, if you don't know, are a type of parasitic fly. You should look them up. Yes, I've seen Blackflies. The reason I got my inspiration was from being bitten by a Blackfly. And of course the movie The Fly. Yeah, the plot is very similar to that. Of course, I had the idea of making him into a Blackfly. Making him kind of like the lizard a little. Yeah, of course, it's much different from that. You gotta keep it classic, you know. Oh right, I should probably go for the three-sided war incident. Basically, there was this powerful crown that was once found its way into the possession of a tyrannical king who basically used it very selfishly to grant his 3 wishes for power, but he was nearing the end of his lifespan. He wasted his 3 wishes on very silly things, and he had to build a dungeon to try and build a dungeon full of inexplicable logic puzzles, booby traps, and random monsters to try and protect the crown. It was never actually finished towards the end, even though much of it was built, but he did manage to seal it away for some time. But another villain, who was Athena in the guise of a reincarnation of a fairy, who basically misled a child of a hero into becoming a cult leader. She basically put out this signal to across the universe to try to other villains to get the crown so that she could kind of swoop in and get it herself. Yeah. Because she couldn't enter, because she didn't want to enter the dungeon herself for whatever reason. Yeah. Anyway, the 3 villains, there was a man-eating plant that was autoimmune. I kind of talked about her in the past. Basically, she's a man-eating plant that was made as a mad science experiment in a different world. Yeah, basically a scientist who made her kind of wanted to make her into a waifu of sorts, but she didn't really like that. Yeah. And she became seen as a goddess by evil plant spirits and man-eating plants, of course. And ended up in her own world. Yeah, she terraformed her own planet and made it into a giant man-eating planet. Yeah, that could eat other planets. Yes. And there's also this other villain who's the Butcher. He's also part of the conflict. He started off as he's a rawhead, which if you don't know, he's an evil butcher of an Unseelie court, or at least he used to be before this Unseelie court got disbanded years and years ago after the war. You know, because in a different timeline, Titania was also a hero and kind of disbanded the Unseelie court and stopped their criminal activities, since they were really not nice to anybody, not even other fairies, really. Yeah, and Rawhead was basic. When I met the butcher, yeah, he was operating a cannibalistic restaurant in the criminal underworld, where he was butchering people up for meat. Yeah, you know, that's a really dark aspect. Yeah, the butcher has the ability that if he eats people and drinks their blood, he temporarily can gain their superpowers. So him getting my white magic is not really very good now. Kinda makes the battle last really long, yeah. Yeah, he did once tear off my wing and it was really, really painful, man. I managed to recover from that, but you know, because white magic is really, really powerful and can do that. I still have scars hidden under the fairy glamour that you see before you right now. Anyway, the butcher, after I defeated him, he kind of went on to invade the restaurant world. Yeah, where people were using restaurant arts to be the best cooks ever. He kind of took over a restaurant there that was a chain restaurant and tried to convert it and basically converted it into a cannibalistic restaurant chain as part of his dream to open a chain restaurant of cannibalistic meat. Yeah, he eventually got defeated by a guy with fry powers. It was basically a fry box mascot of that restaurant chain. Yeah, but he was seen as super popular by killer clowns who visited the restaurant from time to time, and they were like, "Hey, why don't we make him our king in exchange for he'll prepare plenty of meat for us, and then he can be our king." Yeah. Because at that time, during the restaurant arc, well, the butcher had taken on a killer clown persona. Yeah, with a rather creepy looking mask, too. I sort of envision him as in that form as a combination of Ronald McDonald and the Burger King mascot, Burger King, who was rather creepy back in the day. Yeah, of course. Who doesn't think Ronald McDonald or the Burger King are serial killers, really? Oh, right. There's still one party to go over. It's basically the Boogeyman. Now, the Boogeyman, if you don't remember, the Boogeymen were basically diametrically opposed to fairies and had the power of iron with them, and were basically very dangerous towards fairies. And because a lot of them were very loyal to Lilith, the Queen of Darkness, or rather the Queen of Evil, as she is known. Yeah, a lot of them kind of want her to be revived, and the Boogeyman who is the leader of it, it was a Boogeyman of Darkness, since the Boogeymen in this lore are based on phobias and stuff. So he's based on the fear of darkness, you see. Yeah, that's one thing I came up with. Since the Boogeymen were also part of their own lore, and were also part of a different lore at the time. Yeah, they were basically in Dreamland. They were kidnapping children to try and extract fear from them in order to gain more and more power. And a costume child went into Dreamland with the help of a clothes-moth fairy in order to defeat him and his cronies. Of course, that was before the three-sided war incident, in which the Boogeyman of Darkness would be in the three-sided war incident. Yeah. Anyway, the Boogeyman leads an army of nightmare creatures. Yeah. And in order to try and gain the crown so he can revive Lilith from from her prison inside the Red Moonlight. Which is part of the reason why the Red Moonlight causes this to happen to me. Yes. By the way, I did a little silhouette and kind of updated this model a little bit. This is Indumati. If you don't remember, she's what happens when Red Moonlight corrupts me. Yeah, she's evil and rather psychotic. So I can see why a lot of you think she's really, really sexy. I mean, she is a succubus after all. She's kind of a different consciousness from me, from this form though. And has her own set of rules and weaknesses compared to my base form. Although that form is actually not stronger than this form, it's actually weaker. Yeah, you would think it would be stronger, but no. It just has less control and is more willing to kill and destroy people. Which to some might seem like strength, but then again, some people think bravado is competence, which it's not. Right. So anyway, one of the generals underneath the Boogeyman is Kalista. Now Kalista, back in the day, she was another succubus who was unrelated to me. It was unrelated to Indumati. Yeah, she was going around preying on men and luring them to a house with a hot spring and sending out fake letters to try and pretend to be people's childhood friends on different forms in order to lure them into her trap, so that she and her brood sisters could basically feed on their life force. And she ended up trapping this dude in a coma, but that dude had a girlfriend who kind of discovered the arts of bridal magic, which is a direct counter to succubuses since they're very weak to that type of magic, since church bells and weddings are very dangerous to them. Don't ask me why. If you want to know why that is, it's because it's diametrically opposed to the elements that succubuses have, which is succubuses are all based on lust, right? That bridal thing is based on something very different, such as chastity. Yes, if that makes any sense. Yeah, and that's why they're weak to that sort of thing. Right. So Kalista, after she was defeated, was basically forced to give up all the souls she and her sisters had been collecting, and was basically sent down to square one. And then she couldn't really get any power to really terrify or bring desires to anybody anymore, so she kind of just started moving on to easier targets, such as children. Keep in mind, she's more based on the dream aspect of things, since the way that bridal magical girl beat her was by going into the dreamland to beat her. Yeah, if that makes any sense. Yeah, she basically set herself up as a principal of a school and was basically terrorizing children in order to brainwash them into slaves for the Army of Darkness, and to feed on life force as she needed. Yeah, until she got defeated again and again. She more or less tried to. She also set herself up as a nun in a different nightmare school, and was back when she was working with another villain who was the priest. Yeah, the priest known as Father Dole. Father Dole. Yeah, Father Dole is a very different villain who I might go over a little bit later in a different video. Yeah. Kalista in my current timeline is still around, and she's still around and has gotten significantly stronger since then. And yeah. And while she's not a huge major threat anymore, she is still quite dangerous and very powerful. Mostly due to her dream manipulation abilities, as well as her lust magic. Yes, that is a real magic art, yes. Yeah. She's working under Red Moon right now, which is the villainous organization I'm fighting. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, okay? Remember to play games and have fun, okay? Bye-bye now. And now we have to grind Fire Emblem so that I can get everybody's levels up. As you can see, Chrome is already level 17. Anyway, goodbye.